Landforms are natural features of the landscape. For example, valleys, plateaus, mountains, plains, hills, or glaciers. The crust of the earth, which is made up of various types of rocks, is neither stable nor permanent in its form. There are certain forces and movements which are always active in shaping the earth's crust. Basically, there are two types of movements working on the earth's crust. Firstly, epeirogenic or vertical movement. Secondly, orogenic or horizontal movement. Epeirogenic or continent forming movements act along the radius of the earth. They are also called radial movements. Their direction may be towards or away, that is, subsidence or upliftment from the center of the earth. They take place over broad areas and are relatively slower than orogenic movements. Horizontal movements, also known as orogenic movements, are mountain building movements. They are caused by compressional and tensional forces acting on the surface of the earth. The resultant folds and faults create mountains of varying origin. As we all know, children, there are so many various types of landforms on the earth. Let us begin with mountains. How do we define mountains? Mountain is a portion of land surface rising considerably above the surrounding country, either as a single eminence or in a range or chain. A mountain is generally steeper than a hill, but there is no universally accepted standard definition for the height of a mountain or a hill, although a mountain usually has an indefinable summit. As a whole, 24% of the Earth's landmass is mountainous. On the basis of their origin or mode of formation, there are following types of the mountains. Firstly, fold mountains. Fold mountains are formed from the folding of the earth's crust when rock strata that are layered and flat are subject to compressional forces. They become deformed. Convergent plate boundaries intensely compress rocks, deforming them in a process known as folding. Fold mountains are formed when two plates move towards each other. There are two types of fold mountains, that is, old fold mountains and young fold mountains. Some examples of the mountains are Urals, Himalayas, Rockies, Andes, and Appalachians. Second type of mountain on the basis of formation is the block mountains. Block mountains are formed due to faulting in the ground surface. The faulting is caused by tensile and compressive forces motored by endogenetic forces coming from within the earth. If there are two parallel faults, the crustal block between them may either rise to produce a horsed block mountain or fall to produce a rift valley or a graben. Block mountains are formed in all the continents. Some examples of block mountains are Vosges and Black Forest Mountains, which are bordering the faulted Rhine Valley in Europe, Salt Range of Pakistan, Sierra Nevada of California, Satpura Range, and Vindhya Range in India. Block mountains are formed by combined processes of uplifting, faulting, and tilting. They have distinctive layers of rocks and that lie slightly slanted. These mountains have flat tops, steep and small slopes towards the Rift Valley, but slope on the other side is long and gentle. They run along a plate boundary. Third type of mountain are the residual, or which are also called dissected mountains. The mountains which are subjected to weathering and erosion for a long time are lowered down and are called residual or dissected mountains. They owe their present form to erosion by different agents such as river, wind, glacier, etc. They have been worn down from previously existing elevated portions. Nilgiris, the Parasnath, the Girnar, and Raj Mahal in India are the examples of residual mountains. The next type of major landform on the earth is plateaus. A plateau is an elevated tract of relatively flat land, usually limited on at least one side by a steep slope falling abruptly to lower the land to its surrounding areas. In contrast to mountains, it has a large area on its top and has flat or undulating surface. Its sides are marked by steep cliff except in a plateau which is surrounded by high mountains, that is the Intermountain Plateaus. The rocks of the plateaus are layered with sandstones, shales, and limestones. It is this arrangement of the strata which gives it a large, even surface. Very often, rivers and streams cut deep valleys and canyons in a plateau region. It changes its smooth topography into dissected plateau. Some types of plateaus are Intermountain Plateau, the plateaus, which are partly or fully enclosed by mountains or hills from all the sides, are known as intermountain plateaus. Such type of plateaus are the highest and most extensive. The Plateau of Tibet, the Bolivian Plateau, the Plateau of Mexico, Mongolia, and the Tarim Basin are in this category. Next is the volcanic plateau. A volcanic plateau is formed by numerous small volcanic eruptions that slowly build up over time, forming a plateau from which the lava flows. It is also called the lava plateaus. The Columbia Plateau, the Parana Plateau, the Central Siberian Plateau, and the Deccan Plateau are the examples of volcanic plateaus. The next major landform is the plains. A relatively flat and low lying land surface with least difference between its highest and the lowest points is called a plain. Plains do not usually have a height above 160 meters, but many plains above 400 meters exist in many areas. The plains are usually lowlands. Many of them are smooth, while others are slightly rolling. Most plains of the world are flat lowlands and may be above or below the sea level, but they cannot be higher than the surrounding areas. Some types of plains are firstly structural plains. These plains are formed by the endogenic movements. These are either formed due to upliftment or subsidence of the continental shelf. For example, the Great Coastal Plains of USA, the Malabar Coastal Plains of India, the vast plains of Russia, and the central lowlands of Australia have been formed due to subsidence of the continent shelf. Depositional plains are formed as a result of deposition of sediments in lowlands such as depressions, lakes, and sea floor. Most plains of the world are depositional plains. The depositional work is mainly done by rivers, glaciers, wind, sea, and volcanic eruptions. Some examples of the depositional plains are the Indo-Ganga Plains and Huanghe Plains in China, which are result of depositional work of the rivers and streams. The plains of North America and northwestern Europe are the result of deposition work of glaciers. Plains of West Rajasthan, plains of northwest China are depositional work of wind. The coastal plains of Belgium and Netherlands are depositional work of sea waves. The plains of New Zealand and Argentina are depositional work of the thin sheets of lava.